Welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. Jump on the train, let's go. Yes, we're going to look at another Chinese pen from a maker that I don't review as much as I probably should. It comes in a pretty nice box. You got your label there that the distributor probably put on, and it had a seal which was kind of broken when I got the box. And then it looks like it has some decent instructions inside and also another label. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. Here's an interesting insert. It'll give you that translation. So I think that Hero is worried about people in China knocking off their Hero pens, selling them as fakes, in which they actually do mimic in every detail the pen, but I don't really have any examples. I did come across one a while ago, but didn't explore it as much as I might have. So it comes with two cartridges, which is a little bit different. And then we have the pen, which at first look just has a nice look to it. Kind of stealthy. Not quite as stealthy as the Hong Dion that I looked at before, but certainly of that family. The brush finish feels really good. You got a nice logo at the top of the cap that kind of lines up pretty well with the clip. You got that nice black coating on the clip. You have some engraving here along the cap band. So definitely is a Hero. It's a pull-off cap and it's pretty secure. I take it off and we see a section of the same material as the cap and barrel, which is always nice. Fits in the hand well, and even though it's a metal pen, it's not heavy. I'd say it's on the light side. And it's a branded Hero nib there. Standard plastic feet on the other side. You have that ring there that keeps the cap attached. A little bit of a clutch ring there, as we refer to it as. And, the pen fits in the hand fine, unposted, but it posts very deeply and doesn't really change the balance. It adds a little weight to the pen, which actually makes it feel good. So this is a pen I would probably enjoy better writing with Post-it. Here we are with a 981 partially disassembled. I think overall this is definitely a quality pen. It's well made, that finish feels good. This piece here feels on the light side. The cap feels a little bit heavier than that. The Hero logo at the top. Nice black clip. Functional clip. There's some nice spring to it, but it's not going to rip a hole in your clothing. This is where I think the pen lets itself down. I'm not a fan of push-pull converters like this. I understand they're probably less expensive to make than a standard converter, but they don't hold as much ink. And this pen is certainly large enough to take a full-size converter. I was not able to pull out the feed. There's only so much effort that I'm going to put into taking a pen apart, but the nib came out, and that's the important part. All the pieces are just very nicely done. You can see that little spring-loaded ring there that keeps the cap in place. And this is just a standard number 5 nib. So you may ask, standard number 5, yes. Here's 3 different nibs. Here's those measurements. I I'm now starting to create a sheet of nib measurements. But this is the Hero number 5. Here's the Knox number 5 in oblique broad. And here's just that generic Jinhao number 5 fine nib. So if you don't like the original nib, which is what we're going to write with first, and maybe the only nib we'll write with, but you could easily swap in any other number 5 nib and it should fit fine. So we would be remiss if we wouldn't use the LED light to take a look inside the cap. And there's a screw there at the top. Seems to be more and more common now in the way these pens are engineered. Hopefully it's resistant to ink. It just kind of looks like a little bit of a better quality metal than we've seen in some of the other Chinese brands that use a screw there. Looks like a nice cap liner in there. You know, it's a well-engineered, well-built, and well-designed pen. So what pens can we compare it to? Well, you have your Hero 981. You have your Hung Dion, which I reviewed just a little bit ago, a few days ago. Pilot Metropolitan, and a Lamy Safari, which I'm just throwing in there for 2 pens that people might own. And so you can see, size-wise, it's a decent-sized pen. Let's take the cap off. Here they are posted. And this posts classically fairly deep and works well. Like the Pilot Metropolitan, it's even a little bit shorter, a little bit. The Hung Dion is one, when I did the review, I wasn't happy. It posts very high. I mean, it posts securely, but it certainly backweights the pen. And you got your Lamy Safari in here to comparison, which is certainly the longest one of this group posted. Here we are zooming in on the business end. This is a nice classic design section. I think the size is pretty good. Certainly larger than the one on the Hung Dion and larger than the Metropolitan, and the Lamy Safari is just their kind of reference. These all have a similar size nib in them, which number 5. I think it matches and goes well with the size of these pens and their design. So I think we've explored enough. It's time to put the nib to paper and see how this Hero nib writes. I wanted a black ink in the pen, and this is a black ink that I have not filled a pen with. I bought 2 packs of these. They came in packs of 3 a couple years ago. They were reasonably priced on Amazon, so I picked them up. And I just think Irishizuku did another great job of a beautiful small bottle of ink. And as we look at the color card, we'll see it's a black ink. Takasumi, I think, is bamboo charcoal, and I think that's a perfect description of this ink. It's supposed to have sheen, and you can see a little bit of it there in that plotch I laid down heavily and thick with a scalpel, but I wouldn't say sheen is the easiest thing to get out of this ink. If we look at the chromatography, we'll see something I think very interesting. This is a splotch, and I apologize. This accidentally fell on my color card when I had the splotch of ink there that takes a while to dry. But as you see, there seems to be a little bit of water resistance. And then you have an amazing arrangement of colors here. You got some blues, you got some greens, you got some yellows, you got some pinks. So I didn't expect that. So now I did the one where I let it dry for a couple hours. And it's fairly decent amount of water resistance there. And it pushed off the same amount of colors. These 2 dots are some artifacts from the sheet that I'm using, so it's not part of the chromatography. So hopefully you found this interesting. Certainly I have. So I've spent some time with 981 inked up, and I have to say I'm very happy. You know, when you get a pen like this, at least in my experiences, part of the challenge you have is I've seen a lot of Chinese metal pens, and yeah, this one looks okay, but does it actually perform well as a writing instrument? And I say yes. This is the eBay auction that I bid on. Well, I won. It was a buy it now, so there's no winning it, except giving them the money that they ask for. It comes in 2 colors. This one, which I happen to like because it's more stealthy, and then a more of a golden color here that they look like. When I did my searches on the Hero 981, it looks like it comes in an acrylic version or a plastic version in different colors. And it's a few dollars less than this version here, which I think this is worth the extra money. It just has a really classy look to it. You know, it doesn't look like your everyday pens, but yet doesn't look that much different to approach a clownish perspective, which some pens may. So let's delve in and let's put some of that Iroshizuku ink on paper. So this is a pen I would write with Post-it. I think it makes the balance really well and adds a little bit of weight to the pen. We'll give you those weights. The section is okay for me. With that number 5 nib, I tend to hold it up a little bit further, which is probably about 9.5 millimeters where I'm holding it. So that to me is kind of a sweet spot for my fingers from the size of a section. So from the first time I put nib to paper, I just enjoyed how this pen writes. The nib feels great on the paper. It's smooth. I had the microphone next to the paper, which I've been trying to do consistently. So hopefully you heard how the nib writes and you got to hear how horizontal and vertical strokes are. And I would say the pen is pretty wet. I think this ink dries pretty quickly. Well, not real quickly, but I'm happy with the amount of ink this nib lays down. This is a pen I could live with. It's going to go into my everyday carry starting tomorrow. So now we're going to rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.1. And I'm going to give it 1 check for I love the design, I love the engineering, I love the build, and 1 check for the nib. It works well. So let's look at the details. So one of the things that this type of review makes me really focus on, what I put into here is 6 characteristics of the pen. So with design, I'm going to give it 3 checks. Engineering, it gets 3 checks. Build, it gets 3 checks. You know, again, sometimes I want pens that are looking unique or different, but in this case, I just want something that I enjoy writing with and enjoy looking at. Writing, I'm going to give it 2 checks. I know I said the nib was good and I gave it a check for the nib, but it's nothing exceptional. It's consistent. It's good. It's a decent fine line, so that's in its nature. For the look, I'm going to give it 3 checks because I think it looks great. And for value, I'm going to give it 3 checks. So as you can see, the only thing I would say that I would enjoy writing a little bit differently, and as we saw earlier, you can swap out the nib for other number 5, so you're not stuck with this original Hero nib. So hopefully you enjoyed the review of this pen. I like it better as a metal pen than the Hong Dion pen that I reviewed before this one. And I put these 2 together on purpose. I have other pens to review. As I mentioned, I bought a few pens in the month of August. But I just like the way it feels. It's a slightly slippery, but not too much. But it's that kind of feel that to me is good in the hand. And that's always nice trait for a pen to have. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you have many great writing experiences and you find a pen that you enjoy too, as much as I enjoy this one. Put some ink on paper, put some thoughts down, share them, send them to a pen pal, put a stamp on a letter and give it to the U.S. Post Office or your local postal authority, and hopefully it arrives, and I will almost guarantee you that the recipient of your letter will thoroughly enjoy what you've put on paper. Don't worry about your handwriting. I certainly don't. So we've reached the end of this video. There'll be more to come. So we're going to say bye for now. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your pens. Enjoy writing. Till later.